Carson Wentz re-signed by the Vikings. What do you think this means for
Weird.
JJ?
This was
Oh, go ahead.
bizarre. I didn't care enough to want to do a full topic on it, but I was stunned by it.
Well, it doesn't, am I wrong to say, doesn't speak well of JJ,
That's what I mean.
right? Like, JJ should be the backup, right? Now he might not even, why are we carrying three name quarterbacks?
I just can't imagine Carson Wentz doesn't have an opportunity to be the backup somewhere. Right? That would surprise me.
Yeah, like
Well-
Andy. Well, he wouldn't go to Philadelphia, obviously, but
The-
Andy Dalton was in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
But he might be the backup here.
No, so
I mean, I know they're not saying
that's
that.
the point that I'm making is that it would be shocking if Carson Wentz, with months left in the offseason, signed up to be third string.
Oh,
You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, that you would think he would want to go somewhere where he's going to be the backup. Kyler's the starter, it would appear.
I would imagine Carson Wentz is thinking, okay, I liked O'Connell. Obviously, he's helped other quarterbacks, Sam Darnold, Exhibit A. Kyler could easily fall on his face and struggle.
Yeah.
JJ, I've been with JJ. I know I'm better than, I'm just saying, if I'm in his head,
He won 5
I'm
games.
better than JJ.
Like he won
And
games
so
last
he
year.
may be thinking, this is a chance where eventually I may get a chance to start.
Yes. That's exactly right. Carson Wentz wasn't actually bad with the Minnesota Vikings. He wasn't great, either. I think he could have performed better, but the offensive line, especially during his time on the field, was a disaster. Wentz was also dealing with injuries and playing through them, and honestly, the rest of the team was pretty upset with how the whole situation was handled. They were firmly in Carson's corner throughout that entire stint in Minnesota. So I look at this from both angles. Why would Carson sign with Minnesota, and why would Minnesota want Carson? I think there are two different answers, but they're also incredibly similar with a lot of overlap. Right now, you're looking at Kyler Murray, Carson Wentz, and J.J. McCarthy. First off, if you're Carson Wentz and you're thinking, I can be the backup quarterback here, there's a great chance I'll see the field. Either Kyler's going to get hurt or banged up, or I genuinely believe I'm better than Kyler Murray. I think I can put myself in a better position to actually play. When you scan the rest of the league, you're probably not going to land in a spot where you can succeed, even if you can still compete. But when you combine that with the opportunity to play under Kevin O'Connell, alongside Justin Jefferson, that's a fantastic situation. That's the Carson Wentz perspective. From the Minnesota Vikings lens, you're looking at it like this: we cannot afford another season where we don't have a quarterback who can get on the field and get the job done. So yeah, you're willing to bring in as many quarterbacks as you can. Even if you believe in J.J. McCarthy, he's been injured every year so far. Multiple times over the last 2 years. So even if you're following the logic that J.J. should be the backup, obviously he should be the starter, but let's say he's the backup, you can't even have confidence that he'll stay healthy enough to play, even as the second-string guy. So for the Vikings, it has to be all hands on deck to get at least one of these quarterbacks on the field healthy and playing. I don't even need to say at a high level, just at a good enough level consistently, week after week. Otherwise, you're going to lose every single player and coach on that roster. Mentally, you'll lose everyone. They'll all be saying, "Get me out of here." This team starts 2-5, Kyler Murray looks bad or gets injured, they throw in J.J. McCarthy, and it's the same thing they saw last year. Justin Jefferson is going to be like, "I'm done, man. I'm done. Thank you for the money, I love Minnesota, but I can't do this. At this rate, I might not even make the Hall of Fame. You're not putting me in a position to build a Hall of Fame resume, let alone be an all-time great or Super Bowl contender. At this point, I'm not even playing for anything. I can't prove I'm an all-time great. I can't prove I'm a Hall of Famer. You're not even giving me a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. So what am I doing here?" Other players follow suit. The Vikings have no equity built up there. No goodwill. Not for Kevin O'Connell, not for the owner, not for the GM. Anyone involved. you're going to start thinking, this is actually a sinking ship. I once felt like this was a well-run organization. I no longer feel that way. I'm not saying that's how I think, but if you have another season where you're just like, what the heck was that? How did we put ourselves in this situation again? Another season with 3 different quarterbacks playing multiple games? A quarterback who was just flat out bad and didn't give us a chance to win? Another quarterback we thought would put us in a position to win, and then he got injured again? What are we doing? If you feel that as a fan, exhausted, upset, depressed, angry, I'm telling you, there are players and coaches in that building who feel it too. I promise you that. If the Minnesota Vikings are in a situation next year where they're playing their third-string quarterback, it better be because they just won 15 games and it's the final week of the season and they're resting everyone. If it's anything short of that, you're in trouble. If you roll out J.J. McCarthy and he gets injured again. If you throw Kyler Murray out there and he gets banged up, he's been injured before, he's 5 feet 8 inches or whatever, and he's not in his prime anymore, it's not 2018, you find yourself in that situation. And if your best option is Carson Wentz, you're going to feel like, again, what are we doing right now? So I think if you're the Vikings, you're kind of just like, we can carry all 3 of these guys. Kyler's obviously going to do it, Carson's more than happy to do it, so okay, fine. It gives us some emergency nets to fall back on. That at least prevents the floor from completely collapsing underneath us. But it's a tricky situation. It's messy. I made a whole video a couple days ago about what Kyler Murray can actually do positively for the Vikings, and I stand by all of that. What I was trying to emphasize is that even just with Kyler individually, it's messy. But now looking at the Vikings as a whole, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, Kyler Murray, it really is a legitimate mess. Navigating this isn't going to be easy. This is really, really messy territory. You're in a situation where you're like, I believe in J.J. McCarthy, but I don't know how much. I believe in him, but I don't know if he can stay healthy. Maybe Kyler Murray can actually be something, but I don't really know if he can be something. It's just messy, man. Sometimes that's just what it is. That's the one thing Sam Darnold did bring, and that was the biggest risk of moving on from him. We talked about this when they first moved on. The idea that you can't get over the hump with Sam, which we obviously know isn't true, but there was clarity with Sam Darnold. There was clarity. At the minimum, even if you were questioning the ceiling, you had an established floor. Right now, with the Vikings, they don't. We have no idea what the ceiling is, and their floor is absolutely not established. That's uncomfortable. That's an uncomfortable place to be. That's the mess the Vikings are trying to work through. I don't even know at this point. Honestly, I lean toward it being Kyler Murray and beyond with the Vikings, but also J.J. McCarthy. That's why I keep saying it's messy. I shouldn't say it's a mess. It's messy, which I feel is kind of a different thing. A mess implies you're just a disaster. Messy is more like, it's a little chaotic right now. You can have a messy room and not be a mess. It makes sense, I promise. So I think the Vikings are just messy right now. If there's a way for them to do their laundry, wash their sheets, make their bed, fold their clothes, they can get this whole thing back on track. But it's a wait-and-see situation. It's all a little crazy right now. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Vikings? Carson Wentz signing a 1-year deal, obviously par for the course for someone like Carson at this point, but how do you feel as Vikings fans right now? What's your sense about everything? Are you optimistic? Encouraged? Excited? Pessimistic? Who do you think is going to be your quarterback? What are you hearing in the true locked-in local Vikings content out there, local radio, all that stuff? What are the actual conversations? What's the actual situation? What's the sentiment? What's actually happening? Please let me know. I rely on you guys to give me that information because I always like to have a great sense of not only the fan base as a whole, But also you guys are probably watching your own local content, and those guys are always going to have deeper, more direct access to a team like the Vikings than any national media. So I really rely on you to let me know those types of conversations. That keeps me informed. That's why I always talk about this being a community and an extension, rather than just me sitting here telling you what the truth is. I see it as all of us speaking at the same time. So please definitely let me know, because at this point I'm really just trying my best to make sense of it all, and it's messy. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.